Hey there, let's talk about something really cool today. We often hear about growing closer to Jesus, but what does that actually look like? Well, we're going to unpack that idea using a really simple, but honestly, a pretty powerful picture from nature. I mean, seriously, have you ever stopped to think about it? You've got this little tiny dry seed. You pop it in the ground, and somehow, like magic, it explodes into this huge living tree. It's it's amazing, right? And believe it or not, your life with Jesus is almost exactly like that seed's story. The second you decide to be his friend, it's like a brand new seed, full of life, gets planted right in your heart. And think about this. We can build amazing things, but we can't create life. Not in a person, not in an animal, not even in the tiniest little seed. That life is a gift. And our spiritual life? It's the same thing. It's not something we can cook up on our own. It's a pure gift straight from God. Okay, but planting the seed is just step one, right? For that little guy to grow into a big, strong tree, it needs some help. It needs things from the outside. So what does a plant need? And more importantly, what do we need to really grow? Well, one thing's for sure. A plant can't grow just by worrying about it. It can't become a tree by just trying super, super hard. It doesn't work that way. Growth isn't about effort. It's about receiving what it needs. And for us, it is exactly the same. We don't grow spiritually just by stressing and striving. So let's just break that down for a second. A plant needs three basic things: sunlight, water, and air. Now, look at this comparison. For us, Jesus is our light. He shows us the way. He's also our living water. He refreshes us. And God's love, it's like the very air we breathe, all around us, keeping us alive. And this brings us to probably the most important idea of all. For a little branch to get all that life-giving water and sunlight, it has to do one thing: stay attached to the main plant. That connection is everything. And for us, that connection is with Jesus. You've seen those videos of sunflowers, right? They literally turn their faces to follow the sun all day long. They just know where their energy comes from. And that's the picture for us. We're meant to turn our hearts, our thoughts, our attention toward Jesus. Jesus himself actually used this exact same idea. He talked about being a vine and us being the branches. And he made it super clear. A branch can't do anything on its own. It can't produce a single grape unless it stays connected to the vine. Then he says, without me, you can do nothing. So what's this abide thing he's talking about? Abide might sound like a kind of formal, old-fashioned word, but all it really means is to stay, to remain connected, to stick close. Think of it like super glue. A branch abides in the vine, it's stuck to it, and that's how it gets everything it needs to live. And when we do this, when we abide in Jesus, the results are amazing. You suddenly find this power to say no to things you couldn't before. You start growing in God's love and grace. You don't feel spiritually dried up and withered. Instead, you start to become that healthy, strong, fruitful tree. But let's be real. Just like clouds can roll in and block the sun from a plant, there are things that try to get in the way of our connection to Jesus. We can think of them as shadows. So what's the whole point of these shadows? It's actually pretty simple. The main goal is just to distract us, to get our attention, our focus turned away from Jesus. Because if that happens, that life-giving connection gets a little bit weaker. And what do these shadows actually look like? Well, honestly, they can be anything. Sometimes it's just the fun and busyness of life that pulls us away. Other times it's the heavy stuff, the worries and cares of the world. It can even be focusing on what other people are doing wrong, or getting totally stuck thinking about our own mistakes. Anything that takes our eyes off Jesus can be a shadow. So here's the million-dollar question, right? Because we all find ourselves in the shadow sometimes. We get distracted, we get worried, it happens. So what's the game plan? What are we supposed to do? And the answer is so simple, you're gonna love it. Just turn back to the sun. Think about that sunflower again. It doesn't fight the shadow. It doesn't stress about the darkness. It just turns its face back to the light. We don't have to fight the distractions. We just have to refocus on Jesus. And here is the beautiful, powerful truth behind that. When we are looking at Jesus, we are safe, period. The shadows, the worries, they all lose their power. Nothing can snatch us out of his care. It all comes down to where we point our attention. Okay, so this all sounds really good, but how do we actually do it?
How do we make turning to the sun a real, everyday habit so we can grow into that strong tree?
Well, here's a super simple pattern you can use, maybe in the morning, to get started. It's just a way of handing your day over to God. You can just say, "Okay, Lord, take me. I'm all yours today." Then, here are all the things I'm planning to do. I'm laying them down for you to guide. And finally, please stick with me today and let everything I do be done with you. It's a powerful way to start the day connected. And it's so important to remember this. This life connected to Jesus isn't always about huge, exciting, emotional feelings. A lot of the time, it's much quieter than that. It's a peaceful trust. It's a feeling of rest, deep down, just knowing He's got you. And maybe the best part of all is this. Your hope is not in how strong or smart you are. It's in Him. You don't have to have everything figured out. Your weakness gets connected to His incredible strength. Your I don't know gets connected to His perfect wisdom. The focus is always on Him, which takes so much pressure off of us.
So, when we do this, when we practice this simple habit of turning to Jesus every single day, what's the end game? What is the final result of all this abiding? The result is nothing short of transformation. You actually begin to change from the inside out. Little by little, day by day, you start to look more and more like Him. You grow into that strong, beautiful tree of righteousness that the Bible talks about, a living example of God's goodness.
So I'll just leave you with this question to chew on. What's one small, simple way you can turn your heart toward the sun today? Doesn't have to be a big deal, just one little turn towards the light. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer.